Hello there, Poppet. Are you ready to talk about brows? Because that's what we're going to be talking about today. I shouldn't do that to y'all. That's scary. That's scary. Mom! Hey guys, I'm Kat McLeod and I'm going to be teaching you how to do your brows. So I'm going to be walking you through the tools and the products, the techniques that I use. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. If you do, give me a like down below. Also, if you like my makeup face, then fear not. I'm going to teach you kind of how to do it in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned here on YouTube. Alrighty, so the first thing you want to do is learn a few different guidelines for doing your brows. What these are basically like landmarks on your face. So the first landmark is going to be on your nose. Now a lot of people will tell you want to basically draw a parallel line from your nostril up here and don't let the hair go past this line. I would refute that by saying that nowadays brows have gotten a lot thicker than when that rule was established. I feel like that makeup rule was invented in like the 1930s or something, when brows were a lot thinner than they are now. Nowadays we are kind of glorifying the natural brow, or even the boy brow, or the wonder brow, like basically let them roam free. I would highly recommend, instead of coming out here with your brow, come like right here. Don't trim your brows past this point right here, because you can always trim your brows more. You can't untrim them. So I would say just be very cautious when it comes to tweezing your brows in any way. I would also pay a lot of attention to the natural shape of your brow. That's going to be your main guideline. Don't try to give yourself a brow that's a totally different shape than what you have, because you're going to be committed to that for every single day. So I would say just like relax, let your brows be your brows, work with them, not against them, and just take it easy. Take it easy on your brows. So the natural shape that your brows kind of want to grow in is going to help you determine where to trim them. Up here, I know that like my brow is not supposed to be growing all the way up here because the majority of my hair is kind of down here. So I'm going to trim all this stuff up here. I also know that it's not supposed to be down here because I want to preserve my lid space here. That way I can highlight it and it doesn't look weird with all these stray hairs down here, So basically, get rid of the orphans. Where all the brow hairs are kind of not connected to anything, they're not in a group or anything like that, they're not in line, out of here. So that's where you're gonna wanna take them out. Take them out. I also would say try not to make the outside corner of your brow, this tail out here, too thin. Try not to make it too short, try not to make it too long. A good guideline is to take a straight line, a pencil, whatever you do, and touch it to the outside of your nostril and the outside of your eye. And then wherever the brow hairs cross over that's where you want to trim them to. You don't want to trim them all the way up here. That's too far in, and you don't want to trim them out here because if they're too long, it's going to make you look kind of sad. It's going to age you a lot. So you want to make sure that it's still going in that outwards and upwards diagonal motion, because that makes everything on your face look a little bit more lifted, a little younger, a little sexier, that kind of thing. A lot of people have problems where to put their arch, and the rule that we've heard the whole time has been, basically draw a line across your iris, just the middle of your iris. You might even touch it to like the outside of your mouth and that kind of stuff, and that's where your arch is going to be. Mine happens to fall there, but for a long time it didn't. And a lot of people will tell you, you want to draw it even further in by using your nose as the guideline rather than your mouth. I don't think that guideline really applies. I think that some people have arches to their brows and some people don't. And it's totally okay if your brows just don't have an arch to them. Girl, it's fine. You can add an arch, take away the arch, do whatever you want with your arch. Like, that doesn't really matter. All that the arch of the brow does is it causes that brow to look a little more lifted, a little bit more Elizabeth Taylor, a little bit sexier, a little bit more, I guess, mysterious. So it's up to you whether you want to look that way or whether you want to look, a little bit more serious, or you can even make yourself look a little bit older by not drawing that arch on your brow. Now, if that arch goes too far up, you could wind up looking surprised. And so just go at it with a lot of caution. I would say when in doubt, don't trim your brows. Just again, follow the natural shape. I think for every beginner, I would recommend to follow the natural shape of your brow at first, and then you can kind of work outside of that. In art, you have to learn the rules in order to break the rules. So show that you can follow the rules, show that you can do the natural stuff before you try to go in and like go crazy with it. I'm gonna go ahead and tweeze my eyebrows, and then I will show you how to trim them. I just use an angled tweezer. This is a little one that I think one of my friends got at like Sally's or something. My hands are watering. I'll be watering for days. When you tweeze your brows, you want to go at the hair and go ahead and place your little angled thing against the skin, and then grab it as far next to the skin as you possibly can and pull out in the direction that that hair is already growing. If you can't tell what direction the hair is growing, chances are it's probably growing outward and maybe even a little bit downward. So just pull outward and you should be able to get it out pretty easily. Okay, next up, how to trim the brows. This is a part that can really intimidate you if you let it. I wouldn't let it intimidate you, because if you trim it too far, it grows back. Whereas if you tweeze it too far, it takes a heckin' long time for it to grow back. So what I like to do is I take this little spoolie that I've been holding this entire video. This is from e.l.f. What I like to do with this little feller is I like to brush my brow hairs in the opposite direction than they are supposed to go. I had a friend whose friends used to pin her down and brush her brows in the wrong direction because it aggravated her so much. I was like, that's like the most random thing to torment somebody with. I felt so bad for her. I was like, that's horrible. So once you do that, you're gonna have like little devil horn brows. Let me zoom you in so you can see. Okay, so as you can see, you've got like little devil horn brows. Like this is like straight up Gandalf false eyelash brows. So this is how you don't want your brows to look. Now the reason that I trim them, some people will like trim them like crazy, but the reason I trim them is so that if they get brushed, for some reason I scratch my eyebrow or something and they get brushed in the wrong direction, they're gonna show like this at this length. But if I trim them, they will never show like this. They're always gonna look a little bit neater. Now I use this Remington trimmer. It's just a little bikini trimmer. This one is used for my face. And I'm just gonna go ahead and trim everything that grows outside of my brow line. Just kind of trim a straight edge across all of this. So here we go. Trimmers come with like a little guide. I cannot find mine, so I am going to attempt to get the same effect by using this thing. We'll see if I can do it. Now it may have looked like I just trimmed off all of my brow hairs. I didn't. They're just super blonde and it's hard to see them sometimes. So I'm just going to brush them, this one in the wrong direction again, so that you can kind of see the difference in between the two. Okay, so do you see the difference? This one's kind of going crazy, going all over the place, you know, because it's been brushed in the wrong direction and it's still really long. Whereas this one, it's not long enough to be brushed in the wrong direction and go crazy, you know, it's kind of staying in place because the brow hairs are a lot shorter. Also, these hairs are not long enough to create those little rivers and those little parts. And so it looks just naturally a lot more even. So I would highly recommend doing that. And then after you've done that, go ahead and like brush it in the correct direction. That way it looks the way you want. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just go ahead and trim it. I'll meet you back here. Yeah. So I've brushed off some of my foundation. Pat some of that back in. Alright people, so the next thing we need to do is we need to gel them to shape. There are lots of different types of brow gels. Sometimes they're called brow mascaras. My favorite are tinted ones because they just make the entire process so easy. You can get clear ones though if you have especially dark, thick brows already. You may not want to tint them even more, or you may not be able to tint them even more, and you can just kind of gel them into place. My two favorite ones so far are the NYX Tinted Brow Mascaras and the Milani Stay Put brow shaping gel, which is what I'm going to be using today. Aha! This wand, the little fibers are shorter on one side than they are on the other, and so they don't put down as much product on one side. I kind of prefer that because it gives you a little bit more control. It really depends on your personal preference. So I'm going to zoom you in and I'm going to go ahead and put this in for you, going in the direction of my hairs. Alright, we're back. So I'm going to start with those short little fibers, and I'm just going to brush the center of my brows upwards just a little bit, just adding a little bit of coverage there. Then I'm using those longer bristles and I'm going through the tail of my brow. I'm not trying to necessarily get them perfect. I'm just trying to get the hairs to lay down in the correct direction. A lot of times brow mascaras or brow gels will have little fibers in them. It freaked me out the first time because I was like, what, these already have hairs in them? But it's normal and it's really helpful actually. But they can get kind of clumpy after a while. If you notice any of your products like your mascara or your brow gel or anything getting especially clumpy after a while, it probably means that the product has expired and has started drying out. All you need to do is go get a new one. Okay, so now that I have those on, I'm going to go in with a brow pencil. This is from e.l.f. It was like $2. This is in the shade Taupe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here, kind of 2/3 of the way through my brows, and I'm going to fill in with little hair-like strokes. So doing kind of like comet tail things where I pick up near the end so that it looks like a hair. I'm going to start that out at the end of my brows. That way I kind of establish the precedent for like what kind of filling in we're going to be doing for the rest of the brow. So you want to move in a gradient from like the most filled in out here to the least filled in right here. It's going to help it look a lot more natural and just a lot smoother and everything. I don't personally prefer the stamped in brow look. Like a lot of people like their brows to look almost sharpied in. It doesn't look natural to me. So I like to let the brows breathe. I think that's the number one thing. Let them breathe. Let the skin show through your brow. You're not trying to make it look perfect. This is like a gold star principle of makeup. The more perfect you try to get, the more small imperfections are going to show up. So those small imperfections are going to show up a lot more if you're trying way too hard to be perfect. So I would say don't try to go for a perfect brow. Try to go for your improved brow, you know? another hint that really freed me when it came to brows is your brows should look like sisters, not twins. So again, we're going for a natural looking gradient and something that's going to breathe, something that looks like hair, you know. I really like this pencil because it's not too hard. Mine is dull by now, but that's okay because I can still get hair-like strokes. You see that? It's hard enough to get precise strokes and it's soft enough that I'm not beating up my brow. If you feel any kind of pain when you're putting on a brow pencil, it probably means that it's too hard. If this one is too hard for you, I would highly recommend going with the L'Oreal Brow Stylist. That one's got a really teeny tiny tip on it. It's really easy to get super precise, especially if you don't need to fill in a lot of area. I go over my entire brow just to make sure that it all looks even and it all looks balanced. But if you just need to fill in one teeny tiny, you know, bald patch, then maybe you should go with something that has a smaller amount of product per stroke. So the Brow Stylist from L'Oreal is a really nice product. There's just not a lot of product included in it, and I'm like, why would I pay $9 for that when I could pay $2 for this? So I'm going to go ahead and start filling in, starting out here at that 3/4 area. I like to kind of draw a line, a very gentle line across the top of my brow, just until it's barely noticeable. And then I like to draw that same type of line along the bottom of my brow. And then I will go ahead and fill in the brow, stroking upwards, getting straighter and straighter upwards as I get to the front. By this point, I'm barely touching this pencil to my face. I'm just kind of letting the weight of it do the work for me. I'm literally just using my middle finger to like knock it upwards like that. Whereas the rest of it, I'm kind of using my wrist a little bit. I'm just going to come through and just comb through with that little spoolie on the end. Especially right here at the bottom, because that can look very unnatural. I think this right here is the part of the brow that most people, including myself on occasion, most people mess up because they just draw it in too thick and then they're like, why does my brow look terrible? And it's because it doesn't look natural. So you want to make sure that that fades to almost just skin by the time you get to here. So you can see where my brow starts, but it's not ridiculous. You know, it's not like, it's not aggressive, it's not harsh. You don't want anything harsh. This is why I usually do this step before I set the face, is so that if I need to add any more product, I can add product, and I haven't set it down yet. Okay, continuing to fill in. Before you induce a panic attack on yourself, go ahead and give yourself a little space, back up from the mirror, take a look at yourself, wiggle your brows around a little bit, and then before you know it, you'll feel a lot better about your life. That's just general life advice, I mean, right? Another reason that I like this product is because it's not too warm toned. Like, you can really see it on the skin that it's not too orange. I would highly recommend tending more towards a product that is going to be more taupe or cool toned, you know, for its undertone, rather than like orangey or goldeny, because if it has that orangey undertone, it can look really unnatural. It's a lot easier for a taupe based product to look a lot more natural. This Stay Put one from Milani is kind of the same story. Like, if you look at it on my hand, it doesn't look orange. It looks like a kind of a grayish color, because if it's orange you can tell right away that somebody has their eyebrows filled in, whereas with mine you can't really tell that they're like super filled in. Alright everybody, so that is it for this brow tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a thumbs up down below. Go ahead and like the video, share it with your friends, leave a comment telling me what you liked about it or what brow products you have tried that you enjoyed. You can subscribe to my channel. It's totally free. Just hit that subscribe button, and basically the next time you log into YouTube, it's going to show you any new videos that I've come out with, which is great. So again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, and expect to see another video from me tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, bye.